In China's entertainment industry, stars usually fall for one of two reasons: scandal or silence. Li Yitong defies both. She rose faster than logic allowed, landing lead roles others waited a decade to earn, yet never collapsed under the weight of controversy. No tax raids, no leaked contracts, no public romance implosions. And that, strangely, became the problem. Online, whispers followed her from drama to drama. Who was backing her? Why she kept returning? Why she never disappeared? As other celebrities burned out in spectacular fashion, her career moved forward quietly, steadily, almost unnervingly calm. This is not a story of crime, but of suspicion, not of exposure, but of absence. Behind her clean image lies one of the most debated trajectories in modern Chinese television. And the deeper this story goes, the clearer one truth becomes. In an industry addicted to chaos, survival without scandal can look like the biggest mystery of all. Stay until the end, because this story doesn't explode. It lingers. She was born in 1990, far from the glitter of Beijing or Shanghai, in Jinan, Shandong, a provincial city known more for its springs than for producing celebrities. Li Yitong grew up in an ordinary household with no public record of political connections, business empires, or entertainment lineage. There were no famous parents to open doors, no family capital shaping a future in show business. What defined her childhood instead was discipline. From a young age, her life revolved around dance training, long hours of repetition, physical pain, and an unforgiving standard of precision. Dance was not a hobby, it was structure, control, and survival. That early conditioning would later shape the quiet, restrained presence that became her signature on screen. Her path led to the Beijing Dance Academy, one of China's most competitive art institutions, where she specialized in Chinese folk dance. Admission alone required years of preparation and elimination. Inside the academy, the pressure intensified. Students were trained to endure physical exhaustion without complaint, to perform under scrutiny, and to accept replacement as a constant possibility. This environment did not reward loud personalities. It rewarded consistency and emotional control. Those traits would later be mistaken by critics for a lack of charisma, but at the time, they were survival tools. After graduation, reality arrived quickly. A dance degree did not guarantee stability. Like many art graduates, she faced uncertainty, short-term work, and obscurity. Acting was not an obvious next step, and unlike many aspiring actresses, she did not enter the industry through modeling, variety shows, or viral exposure. Her early period in Beijing was quiet. There were no dramatic stories of sleeping on the streets or publicized hardship, but there was also no overnight success. She worked behind the scenes, took small opportunities, and remained invisible to the public eye. The turning point came through Yitong, one of the most controversial and influential producers in Chinese television. His reputation was already polarizing. He was known for launching stars rapidly, rewriting history-heavy scripts, and attracting constant debate. When Yitong noticed Li Yitong, it altered the trajectory of her career almost instantly. She was not eased into supporting roles. She was pushed directly into leading roles, a move that stunned industry observers. In an ecosystem where newcomers usually spend years proving themselves, this acceleration was abnormal. Her early casting decisions triggered quiet conversations first, then louder ones. Who was she? Why her? Why now? These questions circulated among viewers and insiders alike. The issue was not her performance, which was generally competent and controlled, but the speed. The industry rarely forgives fast ascents, especially when they bypass informal hierarchies. The phrase that would later define much of her public narrative had not yet solidified, but the seed was planted. Her rise felt engineered, even if no evidence supported that conclusion. As her first projects reached audiences, reactions were mixed but intense. Some praised her calm screen presence and expressive eyes. Others argued she lacked the sharp edge expected of a leading actress. What fueled the debate was not failure, but placement. She was positioned where many believed she had not yet earned the right to be. In Chinese entertainment culture, perception matters as much as performance. Being seen as too favored can be more damaging than being ignored. Behind the scenes, she maintained a low profile. There were no interviews hinting at ambition, no statements framing herself as a generational talent. She did not play into narratives of struggle or destiny. That silence, however, created its own vacuum. In an industry driven by stories, the absence of a personal narrative invited speculation. When a star rises quickly and says little, others fill in the gaps. By the end of this early phase, Yitong had something rare and dangerous at the same time. She had visibility without a protective fan base. She had lead roles without myth-making. She had opportunity without emotional armor. The groundwork was laid for future labels that would follow her for years, not because of scandal, crime, or misconduct, but because her ascent violated an unspoken rule of balance. In the entertainment world, success is tolerated when it feels earned publicly. Hers felt private, and that difference would soon define everything that came next. When Yitong entered 2017, her name was suddenly everywhere, not because of gossip, but because of casting decisions that placed her at the center of some of the most sensitive projects in Chinese television. That year, she took on Huang Rong in The Legend of the Condor Heroes, a role so iconic that it had already become a measuring stick for generations of actresses. For many performers, playing such a character is a career peak earned after years of build-up. For her, it arrived early. The reaction was immediate and unforgiving. Viewers did not evaluate her performance in isolation. They compared her to memories, to legends, to nostalgia that no newcomer could fully satisfy. Criticism focused less on mistakes and more on tone. Too restrained, too gentle, not sharp enough. The role turned her into a lightning rod. What followed was not rejection, but something more complicated. She continued to receive leading roles at a pace that seemed immune to public backlash. Demigods and Semi-Devils and other high-profile productions reinforced the impression that she was protected by something invisible. Online discussions began to converge around a single phrase that would cling to her name for years: Resource Queen. It was not a compliment. In the language of the industry, it suggested access without merit, opportunity without demand, and favor without accountability. The accusation carried no legal meaning, but socially it was corrosive. The paradox was clear. Her shows were airing constantly, yet she was not dominating ratings conversations. She was visible but not explosive, known but not worshipped. In a celebrity ecosystem built on fan armies, trending hashtags, and public meltdowns, her presence felt strangely neutral. This neutrality became ammunition. Commentators questioned why someone without overwhelming popularity kept receiving top billing. Speculation spread about capital backing, industry patrons, and closed-door arrangements, none of which were ever substantiated. No leaked contracts, no financial irregularities, no political connections exposed. Still, the narrative persisted because it filled a psychological gap. As her workload intensified, so did the pressure. Appearing in multiple dramas per year created overexposure, a dangerous condition in any market, but especially in one as saturated as Chinese television. Familiarity bred fatigue. Even viewers who did not dislike her began to express exhaustion. She became the actress audiences felt they were always seeing, regardless of genre or setting. This repetition dulled impact and amplified scrutiny. Every performance was examined not just on its own terms, but as evidence for or against the Resource Queen label. During this period, her personal life remained sealed. No dating confirmations, no paparazzi shots, no nightlife rumors, no emotional confessions. This absence of personal content was unusual and destabilizing for the rumor economy. Normally, celebrity attention shifts between work and private drama. With her, there was only work. The vacuum intensified speculation rather than silencing it. Silence, in this case, was interpreted as concealment rather than privacy. Yet, despite the noise, one category of scandal never appeared. There were no tax issues, no contract disputes, no political missteps, and no legal trouble, at a time when multiple high-profile figures in the industry were collapsing under investigations and penalties. Her record remained clean. This contrast subtly reshaped the conversation. Critics could question her casting, but not her conduct. They could doubt her stardom, but not her professionalism. Internally, the toll was evident through strategic shifts rather than public statements. Her choice of roles began to change. She leaned toward characters that required emotional restraint rather than theatrical dominance. Instead of chasing viral moments, she opted for consistency. This was not a retreat, but a recalibration. By avoiding explosive personas, she minimized risk. Producers continued to trust her because she delivered stability. Shows featuring her did not implode. Sets ran smoothly. Schedules held. Still, the central contradiction remained unresolved. She was too present to be ignored, yet too controlled to inspire frenzy. In an industry addicted to extremes, moderation became its own liability. Fans of louder stars mocked her as forgettable. Detractors framed her endurance as evidence of protection. Supporters argued that longevity itself was proof of value. None of these positions fully dominated the discourse. By the end of 2020, Lee Yitong occupied a rare and precarious space. She had survived the most volatile phase of her rise without scandal, but also without myth. Her fame lacked a defining narrative. There was no redemption arc, no fall and comeback, no dramatic love story, no public enemy to defeat. What she had instead was continuity. And in a system where chaos often fuels celebrity, continuity can look suspicious. This phase did not break her, but it carved her public identity into something unusual. Not a star powered by obsession, nor a victim undone by controversy, but a figure constantly questioned simply for remaining. The cost of that endurance would only become clearer in the years that followed. By 2021, the noise around her name had softened, not because the questions were answered, but because the industry had moved on to louder targets. For Lee Yitong, survival itself had become the story. While other actresses rose and collapsed under scandals, investigations, or public meltdowns, she remained in place, working steadily, almost quietly. This was not accidental. Her career entered a phase of deliberate restraint. The number of projects per year decreased. The tone of her roles became more controlled. There were fewer attempts to dominate conversations, and more focus on reliability. It was a strategic response to years of overexposure and suspicion. Producers continued to cast her, not because she guaranteed explosive ratings, but because she represented stability. In an industry increasingly haunted by sudden shutdowns, tax probes, and content removals, predictability became a form of power. Her name did not trigger regulatory risk. Her behavior did not invite headlines. Sets involving her did not attract unwanted attention. This quiet dependability positioned her as a low-risk lead, a category rarely discussed publicly, but deeply valued behind the scenes. Yet the label that had followed her earlier never fully disappeared. Online commentary continued to frame her as someone who should not still be here, given the absence of viral popularity. Each new project reopened the same argument. Why her again? Why not someone newer? Why not someone louder? These were not questions rooted in performance, but in expectation. In a celebrity culture trained to equate fame with chaos, her refusal to implode felt unnatural. Her private life remained sealed tighter than ever. As peers announced relationships, marriages, and divorces, her personal world stayed invisible. There were no confirmed partners, no family revelations, no lifestyle displays. This extreme privacy began to redefine her image. Some interpreted it as professionalism, others saw it as emotional distance. A smaller but persistent group treated it as further proof that something was being hidden, even though nothing ever surfaced. The paradox endured. The less she revealed, the more people speculated. Financially, her position stabilized. While exact asset figures were never disclosed, her continued presence in mainstream productions and endorsements suggested sustained income rather than explosive wealth. She was not associated with luxury flaunting or controversial spending. No headlines about mansions, supercars, or extravagant indulgence appeared. In an era when wealth display often became evidence in later scandals, her low-profile lifestyle functioned as insulation. The broader industry context amplified her contrast. From 2021 onward, Chinese entertainment faced a reckoning. High-profile stars disappeared overnight. Careers built on traffic collapsed under investigation. Projects were shelved. Entire fandoms dissolved. Against this backdrop, Li Yitong's uninterrupted presence began to look less like favoritism and more like endurance. Critics still questioned her star power, but fewer questioned her legitimacy. The conversation shifted subtly from "why is she here?" to "why is she still standing?" Despite this, the cost of her clean image became clearer. Without scandal, she lacked narrative momentum. Without dramatic arcs, she struggled to dominate cultural memory. Viewers recognized her instantly, yet struggled to name a defining moment. This absence of a singular peak limited her myth-making. She became known not for one unforgettable role, but for a continuous series of competent performances. In long-term career terms, this is safe. In celebrity terms, it is limiting. Attempts to reframe her image appeared carefully calibrated. Roles explored deeper emotional undercurrents rather than surface intensity. Characters carried quiet suffering instead of explosive trauma. These choices aligned with her strengths, but resisted virality. She did not chase reinvention through shock. Instead, she leaned further into consistency. It was a decision that prioritized longevity over dominance. Public perception gradually settled into something close to acceptance. Not adoration, not obsession, acceptance. She was no longer framed as a threat or an anomaly. She became a fixture. This status carried both respect and invisibility. Being scandal-free protected her career, but it also deprived her of the emotional volatility that often fuels fan devotion. Her fan base remained loyal, but relatively small. There were no mass fan wars fought in her name, no cultural battles that elevated her into symbolic status. By the present day, her position is unmistakable. Li Yitong represents a rare outcome in modern celebrity culture. She did not collapse. She did not dominate. She endured. Her story is not one of downfall or redemption, but of sustained equilibrium under constant doubt. The industry never proved its accusations against her, and time never delivered the scandal some seem to expect. Instead, it delivered something quieter and harder to classify. A career built not on chaos, but on absence of it. In a system that often rewards excess and punishes restraint, her continued relevance stands as its own contradiction. The question surrounding her is no longer about hidden power or secret backing. It is simpler and more unsettling. What happens when a celebrity refuses to self-destruct? Li Yitong never gave the public a downfall to consume. No scandal satisfied the doubts. No revelation confirmed the rumors. What remains is a career built on restraint, discipline, and quiet endurance. She did not dominate her era, but she outlasted many who did. In a system where excess is often rewarded and stability is questioned, her survival challenges how fame is measured. Was she protected or simply careful? Was her rise artificial or misunderstood? The industry never answered those questions, and maybe that uncertainty is the real legacy. If this story changed how you see celebrity power, subscribe to Criminal Tracks for more hidden narratives behind public figures.